Hello everyone, my name is Prateek and I welcome you all to our webinar How to Bridge the Gap Between Industry and Academia. And I have with me Mr. Shailendra Soni. He is the Director, Admissions and Placements at HRIT Group of Institutions. Welcome sir to the webinar.
Thank you, Prateek.
And sir, it would be great if you can just enlighten the audience about the HRIT Group of Institutions, about your college and your journey in the education space.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me here. And I welcome the audience here, whoever is attending it. My name is Shailendra Soni. I'm currently working with HRIT Group of Institutions. I head admissions and placements in this college. I also look after the digital outreach of this college. I'm here for almost 3 years. We are into undergraduate and graduate and postgraduate programs. And we are likely to become university also down the line about a year or so. Yeah. So that's the journey about HRIT and HRIT as a university. Prior to this, I've been with a couple of education companies in India. I mean, if I go in the reverse order, I've been part of TCS Education for about 4 years. I was with the Career Launcher for about a year. I was with an IIT Limited for about 6 years, and I was also with Pearson Global Education for about 4 years. Yeah, so I mean that's the time I was spent in education space where we have handled all kinds of education, may it be professional education or may it be traditional education within India and outside India as well. Yeah.
Okay, great, sir. So I'd like to start the webinar by talking to you about the education phases. So when we have the education 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0, where we talk about, these education phases basically focuses more on the, the traditional setting, the traditional approach, where we say the focus is on the one size fits all. And when, on the other hand, we have the education 4.0, which talks about project-based outcomes. So, sir, my question to you is, do you think the colleges are right now in a phase where of education 4.0, or are they transitioning from the older phases to the new phases?
Yeah. Actually, I mean, if we look at the gap between the industry expectations and the currently what colleges are actually delivering, I mean, that's what needs to be largely addressed. Looking at the pace required to run with the current technological advancement happening in all kinds of spaces. May it be space, may it be medicine, may it be transportation, may it be IT, may it be any other field in our life. I mean, everything is being touched by new innovations. But at the same time, when since education industry as a whole doesn't really move that fast because it has its own challenges, it has its own roadblocks, it has its own limitations. So I think I mean there is a larger need to probably have a better partnership, better understanding, and sometimes industry has to. I will not say that they need to go slow, but I will say that they should also learn how to accommodate education space, the teachers, the academia, everyone. At the same time, education industry as a whole also has to understand that the technological changes are happening so fast that if they do not practice within their colleges, institutions, if they do not teach the same thing to their students, I mean, both of them will become outdated and redundant, and industry will not have the right professionals.
And so basically, so I was just going through one of these surveys, and this is done by IBM Institute, which says that 70% of the India's venture capitalists, they think that the startups and the industries have very limited knowledge, as in what kind of skills a student or an employee should have, and which makes them unemployable. So, sir, this brings me to the next question, and it's a very important one. Is it what kind of challenges do you see in both the university side and the industry side when it comes to bridging the skill gap?
Yeah, I think the gap is largely because of the speed, number one. And number two, I mean, there has to be a better partnership between industry and academia. I mean, they need to have more interactions with it themselves. They need to have more of joint research areas. They need to have more of coordinated work They need to give spaces to each other. For example, industry may have limitations of giving the intellectual property rights and the licenses, because they invest millions and billions of dollars on that. But at the same time, if you look at the point of view of the academia wants to use it for research purpose, for publishing the papers. So I think, there has to be a coordinated understanding, so that, both can accommodate each other. Number one. Number two, the more of networking, more of common conferences, more of joint boards, where people from industry and people from academia are sitting together, understanding the real world problems, understanding the real requirement of the industry, so that students are able to deliver right from day one, and they are not asked to sit on the side bench, and maybe after a year or so they are asked to leave the organization, and that creates a lot of frustration in the students, academia, parents, and everybody. So I think, the speed on which our 21st century is moving is phenomenal. There is a larger need for education institutions globally to probably pace up their teaching methods, pace up their research methods. I will give you one small example. If you look at the lab of mechanical engineering and electrical engineering, or maybe civil engineering labs in the engineering colleges, they are still having same old traditional machines, same old way of teaching on the board, and they still do not have the IT enabled way of teaching the new age students. For example, I was talking to an engineering college, and they were planning uh, to bring in the VR in their education space. A
Okay.
machine which is looking machine from outside. How does it actually work from inside? What are the various parts? Can I feel that part, in the VR mode? I think students have got sick and tired now of reading the same old books taught by a professor on the board, or maybe through a PPT, but it doesn't really excite students anymore. I think the example I gave was just mechanical, but the same is applicable across electrical, civil, or any other field of education. So I think until we embrace the technology, until we embrace the joint research areas, until we very frequently pass on the information between academy and industry as to what industry is looking forward to. For example, down the line 10 years, what kind of infrastructure will be required in the country? If that is well thought in advance, and the same is told to the various research institutions which are working on road areas, infrastructural areas, or engineering colleges which have civil engineering or other infrastructure related courses, I think they can prepare the students and they can prepare the curriculum, so that by the time 10 years from now, when the industry needs hundreds and thousands of people, we have already prepared students with the same kind of competence. Yeah.
Great, sir. So I think you rightly said, sir, what we need right now is to facilitate communication between industry and academia, and they have to come together to solve the issue. So when you talk about the industry, I see them as a one stakeholder, and you talk about the academy, I see them as the another stakeholder. So there's one more stakeholder which I would like to mention about, and I want to learn from you is the government. So what do you think? How government can really facilitate and expedite the bridge between industry and academia?
I think government is a very, very powerful force in bridging the gap between this industry and academia, in terms of bringing both of them together on the same, can give them various research related assistance, which may be financial, which may be bringing experts from outside, which may be putting them on a larger canvas in terms of in terms of cross sectional research areas, which can be between the two similar kind of projects, or maybe two non similar kind of projects. At the same time, since government is a larger body than individuals, than any university, than any company. So government can mobilize the entire thing by making policies in their favor, by having the communities also available where the same thing can be experimented. Because if you have done a research, and if it has not been tested and tried out
Mhm.
in the area that is required, then probably also you don't know the outcome of it. So you need to have communities, you need to have spaces, you need to have practical infrastructure areas where the same thing can be tried, funding areas, suitable policies, research related donations, and there are a
Mhm.
lot of governments outside India. There are a lot of organizations outside India. They will also be available to fund. They will also be available to partner with you because the same problem they might also be facing in their countries. And at the same time, government can reach to United Nations or similar lot of global agencies to probably solve a larger problem where there may be research and development is required, and where industry and academia can jointly work and solve a small problem or a larger problem.
Okay, okay, sir. So, I just would like to talk about the university side a bit. So, as you know, that educators play a very important or a very pivotal role in shaping the education system, and this is something which we have seen during the COVID times as well. So, when the COVID hit, and all the educators they reinvented themselves, and they started learning themselves about teaching themselves about the digital tools. So, just wanted to know from you how important is for the teachers to reinvent themselves in the education 4.0 era.
Yeah, I think you've touched a very, very important and very in demand topic. Today, in the last about 3 years after this COVID began almost 3 years back, I guess.
Yeah.
Before that, everything was normal. Life was normal. But the moment COVID started, life became abnormal. And whenever we have abnormal situations, we also need abnormal solutions. We need to think out of box, and we need to think, what we can do now because our mobility is limited, our social contact is limited, our probably financial areas are also limited, and there may be limitations of a lot of other areas. So Zoom was already existing, Zoho was already existing, Google Meet was already existing, but they never had that number of customers probably before COVID and after COVID. And probably everybody must have doubled or tripled their user base. And suddenly, if you see in the last 3 years, a lot of flux of integrations are available now. Earlier, we only knew Zoom as Zoom or Google Meet as Google Meet. But today, you can incorporate Google Meet in various platforms. Today, even every small student knows what is Zoom. Even my younger brother's daughter was in, I think, prep, and I mean, it was her first year of this school. She was also saying, "Papa, please press this. This will. Papa, please press this." I think the children also became used to of using the technology. So what I'm trying to
Great.
say that I mean, from the normal boards, we have moved on to digital boards now. We from normal research, we have moved to advanced research now, because there are a lot of research platforms available now. I mean, ChatGPT is one of them. I mean, it's about in the last about a year or so. Now I think everybody wants to do research on ChatGPT. Even one student came to me yesterday and he said, "Sir, I wanted to talk to you about ChatGPT." I said, "Is it part of your course now?" He said, "No, no, no, it has nothing to do with my course. I just wanted to talk to you. I have some questions." So I think looking at the technology intervention, looking at the teachers, how they should teach, looking at the students, what they expect from their teachers and institutions, looking at the mass availability of the people who are willing to learn new technologies, new skills, new courses. I think it has suddenly gone up in the last about 3 years, 3 years plus. Today you will see that majority of the institutions are now moving on from normal boards to digital boards, and they have started recording classes. I mean, I was surprised to hear from one of the teachers. He said, "Today we record all the classes." I said, what used to happen 1 year before? He said, 1 year before we were not recording anything. We never used Zoom in our school, and that is a government school, by the way. He said, today we record 100% lectures, and we have created a YouTube channel for that, and we put all the classes in the channel. So I think, I mean, embracing technology is very important today, especially in the teaching area. I think teaching area should be the first one where all kinds of technologies should come. I mean, since I'm in that space, I would love to see how AR, VR, and AI and everything is helping the learners and the teachers
Great.
to probably become better.
Great, sir. So since we're talking about skilling the educators, so I want to touch upon the skilling for students. So basically, I was just talking to one of the students, and he said that when you go to an industry and they expect a certain kind of a skill set. So you have the hard skills, you have the soft skills. So basically, what I wanted to know from you is that what kind of skill set is required for today's generation, like for example, if you talk about soft skill set like leadership, communication, team building. So do you think that an organization is looking for a soft skill set, or they are looking like a kind of a amalgamation of soft skill set and hard skill set?
Yeah. See, I mean, first of all, any organization who's looking forward to recruit a person is, I think, I mean, there are three areas where they want everyone to be right. One is you should be teachable. Second one is you should be trainable, and third thing is you should be coachable. Because all the things go parallelly when you're working in any company. I mean, there will be courses they will be teaching you, they will be training you on what they already have, and they would like to coach you to become future leaders. If you are not trainable, coachable, teachable, then you are otherwise rejected. Second thing is, I think, adaptability. You need to be adaptable to the needs currently organization requires and to the future needs. And third thing is, I mean, you should be very, very analytical in your approach, because everything now boils down to data. Even if it is a sales job or if it is not a sales job, now data is used everywhere. You will be your boss is going to review you only on data now. The days of storytelling is over now. Now the time is of data, and data speaks everything. So people have to be very, very comfortable using computers. People have to be very, very comfortable writing an email. People have to have good com skills, and you should be master in MS Office. Without that, there is no life. Because I mean, day in and day out, you're going to make PPTs now. You're going to work on Excel. You're going to write emails. You may have to prepare documents. But at the same time, you should also be an evangelist, because while you're working in corporate, and I mean, just on a lighter note, I'm saying, with the invent of Chat GPT, I mean, your job may not be secure. So if you're not thinking about future, if you're not having a vision about future, because companies will be, because Chat GPT will give you what is stored in the system and internet. It will not tell you what is going to happen in future. But a human mind can think what can happen in future. I think, I mean, companies will look forward to people who have great vision, who have great futuristic ideologies, people who can think beyond boundaries, people who can go and crack large deals, or people who can write
Mhm.
excellent communication about organization or emails, etc., etc. I think these are some of the things companies will be looking forward to while they interact with people.
So before sir, we wrap it up, so I just have one question, and that's something you also already touched upon, and that's ChatGPT and emerging technologies. So how technologies can play a very important role in bridging the skill gap. So basically, sir, I was going through one of the articles where the professor is actually teaching the students about artificial intelligence because of ChatGPT. So, sir, the question is that do we have to wait for such kind of a technological breakthrough to happen and then start implementing such teachings in the organization, in the universities, or we should preempt the professors and the deans? They can preempt what is going to happen in the near future, and then should start teaching and educating students about it.
I think there's no need to wait because if you wait, you are definitely going to be left behind. And I mean, there's a famous saying: "You are not a tree; you can move anywhere. Only a tree will not move." Yeah. So when you can move anywhere, why don't you move towards technology? Why don't you move towards new learning? Why don't you expand your boundaries, expand your horizon of learning? I think this is very urgently required for institutions, for students, for professors, for entire humankind to keep thinking about future only. What what they can create and whatever is best available, how they can use it in the interest of their organization, their families, their self, and their country, or whatever it is. I think no need to wait. Just go and grab technology, whatever best technology can do for you. I think I mean, it is going to help all of us have a better life, and we have seen that. We have seen that even medical area is also touching technology. Now robotic surgery is happening. Yesterday, I went to a doctor with one of my family members. So he
Mhm.
said, when there is a clot inside her nose, there is no cut required. I will just put a camera inside. It will have laser. I will cut it through laser and I will suck it. There's no need. The same clot can be just without any operation. It can be taken out. So I think when technology is helping all of us to become better, there's no need to wait. Just go, jump, embrace it, and have a great life.
Great, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful discussion. It was great having you over on the webinar. And thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Prateek. Thanks for having me. It was lovely speaking to you and your audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
Bye
sir.
bye.
Oh.
Bye.